If every nation on Earth owes trillions, then who exactly are they borrowing from? It's the financial riddle no one bothers to solve. We hear headlines about global debt reaching record highs, but almost never the follow-up question: who is the world actually indebted to, and what happens when everyone owes everyone? Today, we're going to pull apart the system that keeps governments alive, markets moving, and taxpayers unknowingly funding an invisible empire of credit. To understand this mystery, we need to travel back to the origins of government borrowing. The idea began centuries ago, when kings ran wars they couldn't afford and borrowed from wealthy merchants. But in the 20th century, something far more powerful replaced those merchants: central banks, bond markets, and international financial institutions. And that's where the twist begins. Because these institutions don't just lend money, they shape entire economies. In the early 1900s, governments discovered a clever trick. Instead of raising taxes, which makes people angry, they could issue government bonds. Investors would buy the bonds, governments would get money instantly, and repayment could be pushed decades into the future. Then came the biggest turning point. 1971, the end of the gold standard. Money no longer needed to be backed by gold. It only needed to be backed by confidence. From that moment, borrowing became limitless. As global trade expanded, countries began borrowing not only from their own citizens and banks, but from each other. The US borrows from Japan. Japan borrows from the US. China lends to the world, but also owes trillions inside its own financial system. Debt became a circular machine, everyone lending to everyone, with central banks acting as the silent puppeteers. But unlimited money has consequences. By the 2000s, global debt exploded past $100 trillion. After the 2008 crisis, central banks printed trillions more. By the 2020s, the world hit $300 trillion in total debt, 3 times global GDP. And yet, the system didn't collapse. Why? Because every time the machine starts to break, governments simply borrow more to fix the damage caused by borrowing. This creates 3 dangerous side effects: inflation, that punishes ordinary people; asset bubbles that make the rich richer; debt traps that force weaker nations into IMF bailouts. The world isn't just indebted, it's addicted. Countries tried austerity. They tried stimulus. They tried currency devaluation. Nothing worked long term, because all these solutions still depend on the same system: borrowing money to solve problems created by borrowed money. It's a loop with no exit, unless the entire financial architecture changes. Today, we face patterns eerily similar to the past. Global debt is rising faster than income for 80% of countries. The US pays over $1 trillion a year just on interest. China's local governments are drowning in hidden liabilities. Developing nations spend more on debt than education or health. The system is creaking under its own weight, so who is the creditor? Here's the truth. The world owes money to itself. Governments owe citizens. Citizens owe banks. Banks owe central banks. Central banks create money from debt, and the cycle continues. The creditor is the system, a vast web of institutions feeding on the promise of future repayment that may never come. Takeaway 1. Government debt isn't just numbers, it shapes your taxes, your job, and your cost of living. Takeaway 2. Global debt is sustainable only as long as people trust the system. Confidence, not gold, is the real currency. Takeaway 3. The biggest risk isn't default. It's the slow erosion of purchasing power for ordinary people. And here's the warning. The system won't collapse. Suddenly it will decay quietly. Through inflation, stagnation, and a widening gap between those who understand money and those who don't. If you want to be on the right side of that divide, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep watching. If this video opened a new perspective for you, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're just getting started.